Hello everyone, I'm your host Pensyfan19 and welcome to the July 2022 Pensyfan Periodical. This is a monthly news series which covers most of the major railroading headlines from around the world, as well as my opinions on them. We have a lot of articles to go over today, so with that in mind, let's get rolling. First off, there was almost a nationwide railroad workers strike, with about 99.5% of BLET union workers voting to strike due to unfair working conditions. The strike, scheduled to occur on July 18th, was called off a few days prior when President Biden established an emergency board which will try to make non-binding suggestions in the hopes of helping the unions and railroads find common ground. Now, this is due to a variety of policies from different Class 1 freight railroads and union contracts, which can be much better explained by videos on other channels, since this area is definitely not my field of expertise, but I'm just here to give a brief summary of massive worker-related events like this. However, well-known examples of low-quality working conditions is the recent BNSF high-vis policy, allowing only 12 hours off during a 48-hour work period and only 1 day off per month. Such conditions have driven many potential engineers and conductors to smaller railroads with more fair working conditions, which haven't adopted the shareholder-based system known as Precision Scheduled Railroading, or PSR, which emphasizes practices such as 400-car-long trains with one-man crews and 2 engines, all to cut costs and increase profits. However, after multiple Surface Transportation Board hearings over the past few months, the Federal Railroad Administration is finally making progress towards preventing such practices, as they are once again attempting to mandate 2-man crews on all freight trains. Although this area of railroading is not my specialty, I hope that more regulations are passed that improve working conditions and encourage new employees, increase safety, and less interference with new and existing passenger service. And as far as rail fans are concerned, more trains and more diverse equipment. Speaking of which, here's some interesting news. DB has joined Star Alliance with other airlines to assist with multimodal travel. Why not fully enforce Fleegscam and make the agency filled with railways to allow better connections between rails instead of airlines? Another attempt to improve international rail lines for the rest of Europe is a plan to implement standard gauge for all EU members, which notably doesn't include Switzerland, Norway, or anywhere east of Ukraine. Rio is to convert some of their BRT lines into LRTs. Alula is to receive Hejaz Railway-inspired trams, with said trams inspired by these coaches. Various Korean railcar manufacturers have been fined for collusion. Canadian Pacific has joined a UN Global Compact, while the Calgary to Bond commuter rail is likely cancelled. Arrow HMUs are to appear at InnoTrans 2022, thus being the first American rolling stock to be displayed in the convention's history. Alan Fisher's Just One More Lane short has been featured in a Bloomberg article. Tyne and Wear Metro has sponsored a Shaun the Sheep statue. DB Cargo has released a pretty hot steel-on-steel livery, while DB Trax is a climate hero, as are pretty much all other trains just for existing. CO2 Rail has proposed a carbon capture tanker behind each engine. Press 145043 is a World Heritage Unit, while a multiple unit has become an Iron Maiden tour train in Sweden. Virtual Railfan has called a certified 8086 moment, along with a lone BNSF-9 switching a lumber car carrying steel. The Saluda Inc. line is to be turned into a rail trail. Ontario Northern ran a movie train for the production of The Handmaid's Tale. SMS Lines number 9 is to pull passenger excursions between Swedesboro and Salem, New Jersey. Coaster Fan 2105 helped the Southern California Railway Museum preserve coaster F40PH number 2105. Caltrain has wrapped an entire set with a Google Chrome ad. And Amtrak 606 has once again been wrapped in another advertisement, this time promoting a King Tut exhibit in Washington, D.C., exactly 10 years after Amtrak F59PHI number 470 was given a similar wrap for the same exhibit in Seattle. Now here's a follow-up news section for articles covering stories from previous episodes. The state of Missouri is to restore a second daily Missouri River runner. Amtrak has extended the East and Allen Express to Burlington, Vermont. CTA has released a second subway heritage unit. Caltrain EMUs have begun testing on Caltrain trackage. Optifuel is to refurbish 400 engines with their CNG prime movers in Argentina. Smart LRVs have entered service in St. Petersburg. Elon Musk has cancelled his purchase of Twitter. And the LIRR has cancelled their Battery M7 conversion program after announcing plans to consider electrifying the Port Jeff branch. As a Long Island Rail fan, I'm kinda disappointed that the EMUs aren't going to see some of the diesel branches and expand the fleet availability for pretty much all lines. But battery power has its drawbacks too, even if it's cleaner than a diesel engine, but requires just as much pollution to make the lithium batteries. Now if the LARR were to replace the prime movers of their diesels with batteries, then it would be fine since it's the same diesels with cleaner engines. In terms of stations, LA Metro has opened the K-Line section of the Expo Crenshaw station, with the line itself set to open in September, and new designs have been released for Hertfordshire. Sorry if I might have mispronounced that name, since I'm not British. In other news, Crossrail has released a Class 43 Intercity Heritage Unit, while DB Cargo's 67007 has been repainted somewhat late for the Queen's Jubilee. Boris Johnson has resigned as British Prime Minister. Dolderbahn has revealed a cute single-car EMU, while UL ordered new buyout-level EMUs. SBB Cargo is to release Siemens Vectrons. Train OSC has been renamed to Hellenic Train. Alstom is to construct a new facility in St. Bruno de Montarville, Quebec. Livonia, Avon, and Lakeville has acquired the Ontario Midland. Paducah and Louisville has unveiled their new paint scheme. Norfolk Southern reopened their Bellevue and Macon hump yards. Studies have been started for Raleigh to Greenville, North Carolina passenger service, along with long overdue Chicago to Peoria service. Iowa Interstate SD38-2s have re-entered service. The Buckingham branch is to hold excursion service near Staunton, Virginia. And CNW 175 is to be restored by the Steam Railroading Institute. And happy 160th anniversary to Union Pacific. Or shall I say, happy 152nd anniversary to Rio Grande, since UP is technically Rio Grande. Watch this Train Facts episode. After all that, it is now time for this month's Meme of the Month. This month's Meme of the Month is Inaccurate High-Speed Train. And now, the top story of the July 2022 Pensyfan Periodical is Union Pacific unveils new livery. Rail fans across the nation are split between the newest paint scheme applied to a few GEVOs and SD70 ACEs, as the Class 1 Railroad announced their new paint scheme would better protect the flag. That is, protect it from being faded due to turbocharger fires. Two of the most notable changes brought by this paint scheme is the replacement of the flag with the classic large Union Pacific lettering, and more notably, the replacement of the wings with a large Union Pacific shield. While it would be considered unpopular to remove the American flag from the design entirely, UP decided to place a smaller flag on the side of the cab instead of the middle. But this new livery seems to remind many rail fans of the railroad's previous livery, which was just simple gray and yellow with UP lettering, although the logo on the notes was never this large. Now, such a simple paint scheme is common among freight railroads, in which they don't want to spend too much on looks and focus more on easy, cheaper maintenance, but many rail fans, including myself, see this simple livery as a bit of a downgrade from the original one, likely due to less aesthetics. But around the same time this new livery was unveiled, UP also announced a rebuild program of their AC-44s, AC-60s, and Dash 9s with Wabtec in the AC-44 C6Ms, with their video footage showing the now former UP wings and flag livery. So it's unknown if these rebuilt engines will be painted into this new scheme as well. Based on this info alone, it will likely take at least 10 years for the Class 1 to repaint its entire fleet into this new, simpler scheme if it's one of the railroad's main priorities, especially considering that there are many patched Southern Pacific units still running around. In my opinion, I don't think this new scheme is terrible, just a bit of a cheaper step down from their previous livery, and will probably look better with this scheme. I know you're in there, Rio Grande. UP is really four companies, with its most recent phase being taken over by Southern Pacific, who was also taken over by Rio Grande. So this so-called Union Pacific that we all know today should really embrace its true Rocky Mountain heritage and reassume its original identity of the Denver, Rio Grande, and Western. Albeit this ownership was probably addressed in 2015 as truly being Union Pacific, but it would still be nice to see a former fallen flag back on the rails. Thank you everyone for watching this month's episode of the Pensyfan Periodical. There have been a lot of rail news headlines for the month, and it will be very interesting to see what the future has in store for all of these articles. Thank you again for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Have a good day.